Hello and welcome back to my channel. This year in 2025, I am participating in Ellen's Diversity Book Bingo. Ellen from the Ellen Made Book Club created this bingo card on her channel. I will link to her video, make sure you check it out. And she has a group on Storygraph to keep track of the prompts and which prompts you have completed and also get ideas for books to match the prompts. I have always been very much a mood reader, and over the last 4 years, I have tried to diversify my reading and make sure that I am reading from varying perspectives and not camping out in any one particular bubble of reading. Last year, maybe the last year and a half or so, I did have that in the back of my mind, but I feel like I ended up just kind of reading whatever I picked up. So I'm really glad that Ellen is doing this bingo card this year and that I have a more intentional reminder in choosing the books that I'm reading. Originally at the start of the year, I planned to just kind of read what I wanted to read and then see which prompts and slots the books I'm already reading fit into. But somehow it is May and I feel like my reading this year has been chaotic. Well, and maybe that's because life in general has been very chaotic this year. It's been a rough start to the year. Hopefully things are smoothing out, but I feel like it's just like, oh, my books are from Libby. Oh, my books are from the library. Oh, I want to read this. Anyways, it's just felt very chaotic. And so I've realized that in working on this bingo card, I really need to be more intentional about it and not just plug books in after I read. I want to plan forward for the next half of the year. So I'm still hoping that a lot of my TBR and the books that I'm already planning to read will indeed fit a lot of these prompts. I think that a lot of them should. But as I went back through the prompt list, there are some that I think I will need to be more careful in making sure that I read books for those prompts. So first I want to talk about the books that I have already read for some prompts. And the first one is for the prompt about a translated book. And for that I put The Winners by Fredrik Backman. Yet again, obviously one of my favorite authors, one of my favorite book series, and a really good emotional end to this series. But Fredrik Backman is Swedish and he writes his books in Swedish and then they are translated into English. So I read a translated copy. Amazing, 5 out of 5. Highly recommend. I will always sing the praises of this series, the Beartown series. For nonfiction, I have read a handful of nonfiction books, but I just went with the first nonfiction read I had this year, and that was Loud by Drew Afuolo. I will link to the video where I talked about it. I think I read that in January, so I will link to that video where I talked about it a little bit in my reading wrap-up. For the feminist category, I put Word Slut by Amanda Montell. This book I really enjoyed. It was all about how language changes over time, for better and for worse, and ways of reclaiming the English language, not just for women, but for anyone, to have more inclusive language and to just get a history of how certain phrases came to be, phrases that are so often a part of society that we may not even think about it. And it was a really good read, and I am a lover of words, so it hit lots of spots for me. For the recommended category, so this would be a book that was recommended by a friend or a booktuber or someone else. And for that one, I put Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. One of my really good friends recommended it to me, and I talked about it in my wrap-up video. She recommended that I listen to the audio version, and I did. I loved the audio for it, so I picked Listen for the Lie. It is a thriller and done as a podcast, so you hear like the story, and then especially in the audiobook, like you hear the podcast transcripts. It's just really fun. I enjoyed the mystery and I enjoyed the audio experience. Then we have the category of a secondhand book or a library book or a backlist book. Right now, most of my books I've been getting from the library, so I just picked one of the books that I got from the library, and I picked Skullduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy. This is a book that was recommended by Dr. Cranky Pants Reads, and I read it because it sounded like something that potentially my middle schooler might enjoy, and I do think that he will. I got it from the library, but that copy was like, I don't even know if maybe it hadn't been checked out in a very, very, very long time, but it was like very dusty. There was just a lot emanating off of this book. So I ended up returning that book and getting the audio version. So I want to see if I can find another secondhand copy of that for my son. Then for a 5-star read, I have had quite a few 5-star reads, but I ended up putting The Wedding People by Alison Esbeck. This is another one that I've talked about recently on my channel. I read it, I think in March, I want to say. I really liked this one. I liked that it was a quick read and an easy read, but it also dealt really well, in my opinion, with some mental health themes and friendship themes and rediscovering yourself and rediscovering joy again. So I gave that one 5 stars. For LGBTQIA, I put Answers in the Pages by David Levithan. This book was recommended by Martine from Just Martine. This is a great book. It's a young adult book. It has themes of book banning, how to handle book banning, and it's written from the perspective of a young person and how they're handling book banning. And also it has very strong themes of queer representation and homophobia, dealing with homophobia. And it was a really good book. It's the first book I read by that author, but I have since read another book and I would like to read more. So that was my pick for this category. Then Ellen has different categories for different continents, and for North America, reading a book set in and written by an author from a country in North America, try to venture outside of countries you normally read from and or your own country. So for that, I picked Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This book I talked about in my April reading wrap-up. For Australia and Oceania, I picked Here One Moment by Leon Moriarty. She is Australian and her books take place in Australia. She's one of my favorite authors. I've talked about her a lot on this channel. And then for animals, read a book with or about animals. I thought about putting Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez because one of the main characters is a vet and animals come up frequently in that, but I'm not sure I want to count that. However, I also don't feel like I tend to read a lot of books about animals, so if I'm able to pick a specific one to fit this prompt, then I will go with that. Otherwise, I might come back and add Say You'll Remember Me, but we'll see. For the continent of Asia, I just finished the audiobook of What You Were Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Aowama. And this book I first saw because I got a little excited joining book clubs on Fable, and I found the book club that Michael Threatt started. If you do not follow Michael Threatt, go follow Michael Threatt. He is an amazing person and lover of books, lover of the library, and he's very open about mental health, and he is just an amazing, bright spot on the internet. So I joined his book club, and that is the book that he picked for April. So I didn't technically finish it until May because I didn't join the book club in time, but this book it's beautiful. It'll be in my May reading wrap up, but this was a really beautiful book. Okay, so I'm thinking ahead on other prompts that I have not yet done and ideas that I have for those prompts. There's a prompt for reading a book and then seeing an adaptation, so film, TV show, something along that line. I just read The Hunger Games for the first time. My oldest was reading it in school and I decided to read it along with him. So I have not seen the movie yet, but I plan to, and I am pretty sure unless something else comes up, I will count that for this prompt. For the favorite author prompt, I am going to be reading soon My Friends by Fredrik Backman. This is his new release, and I am actually going to meet him in person. I'm so excited, so excited, so excited. So I am going to be getting an autographed copy and then reading that, and I will most likely be counting his book for that prompt. For a 2025 new release, I have actually read quite a few 2025 new releases, so again, I might go back and put in any of those. I know Beautiful Ugly, I think, was 2025. In God We Trust was 2025. There's a few. Now I can't remember them. I also know Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry is coming out, or just came out actually. I am third in line at the library, I think. I have heard very mixed things about this book, so I'll probably wait. I'm gonna read it. Still have high hopes for it, and then we'll see which one. I mean, I'm just gonna pick one of the books from 2025. For a genre out of my comfort zone, I think I'm going to pick a type of horror book. Carrie by Stephen King is on my 40 before 40 list, so I might go that route. I also, when I first started BookTube and I was talking about not reading much horror and being potentially interested in trying some, a book that was recommended more than once was The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. So I might also go that route to also ease into it. I was told that it might be a good introductory horror book. So yes, I'm thinking about getting it on audio, and when I'm traveling next month, maybe listening to it on the flight. So I'll probably pick one of those two for this category. Mental health. There are so many great books. Right now, what I'm thinking I might pick is The Bell Jar. That is another book on my 40 before 40 list. This book sounds like it's going to be really, really good, but also really, really heavy. But it is on my list, and I think I might pick that one for this category. For migration, I was looking through some of the books that other people have added on that prompt shelf on Ellen's Storygraph page, and I think what I want to read is The Ungrateful Refugee. This is one that I had not heard of until I found it on that list, and it sounds like it is a memoir biography and talking about what it's like to be a refugee, and a lot of stories of real people and a lot of the stereotypes that so many people have towards refugees. A prompt that says a prompt from someone else's list. So for that, I also was just browsing book recommendations or books that other people have added to these prompts. And I think what I want to do is I Cannot Reach You, Volume 1, and this is a manga, and I have never read manga, so I think this will be great to read a type of book that I've never read before, and also reading a prompt that is from someone else's list. And then the prompt disability. Any book that shows the experience of individuals with disability counts here, as well as that of those who care for or assist them when appropriate. So I am thinking, I haven't decided for sure, but I am thinking about Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. She writes romance. I read another book by her at some point, I think this year, maybe it was end of last year, I can't remember. I'm trying to decide if I want to read a fictional book or if I want to read a non-fictional book, but right now this is the book I am leaning towards. For South America, I am thinking about the book We Will Be Jaguars, a story that takes place in Ecuador. It sounds like it's going to talk a lot about her growing up years and then her moving away and then coming back and reclaim the aspects of her culture and ways of life that she came from, and then becoming an outspoken voice about climate change. For the Indigenous prompt, I have been eyeing this book for so long, so I think that this is the one I need to go with. And that is Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teachings of Plants. I've heard so many good things about this book, and I think that this will be a great pick for this prompt. And the last prompt that I am thinking about today is the prize winner prompt. And for this prompt, it can be a book that has won any sort of prize. And I think that I am going to go with Piranesi. This book won the Women's Prize for Fiction, and it's also on my 40 before 40 list. This was recommended by Ellen and so many people on BookTube. So I think that is going to be, at this point, that is going to be my pick for the prize category. So I decided to just kind of focus on the next handful of prompts. So this is not an exhaustive list of all the prompts or all of my ideas for all of the prompts. I think one of the hardest ones for me might be the laughter prompt, because I don't often laugh out loud while reading. So I might need to go back and look at some of the other suggestions that other people have shelved on that category and see what book jumps out at me. And I want to try to become more aware if there are books as I'm reading that make me either laugh out loud or at least laugh in my head, to possibly count that as well. But that is my progress on the diversity book bingo and my ideas for the next few books. If you have not checked out Ellen's video on this, definitely check it out. I will link to it below. And until next time, happy reading.